kind of got into agency about 14, 15, had a week's worth of work experience and had one of the best weeks of my life.
What you learn in life is money is a byproduct of doing what you enjoy doing really well. You mustn't be looking for it.
You just taught me something.
I feel a little bit scolded.
Greetings, hi, welcome. It's been a heck of a long time. We do apologise to our millions of fans out there, but we once again are coming back with an epic Sofa Broker episode. We have special guests. We have proper special guests. We are delighted, Dan and myself, to welcome.
Oh, thank you for mentioning.
Oh yeah, hi.
Here.
Hi.
Yeah.
I thought you were away anyway, so.
Yeah, carry on.
Monaco.
Yeah.
We are delighted, really genuinely delighted to welcome two guys that we have a huge amount of respect for. They are emerging titans of our industry. And it's Simon and Ed from Fine & Country. Hi Simon and Ed.
Hi guys, nice to be here.
Yeah,
great to have you.
Thanks for having us still on.
Dan, do you want to just quickly tell everyone how this came about, this particular podcast, why the guys are here?
I mean, thanks for the intro, mate. I was in Monaco, it was lovely. It was all work.
It's great to have you back.
Yeah, well, it was only 2 days, mate. It wasn't fancy. It's like when you go away, when you go to Nice, we don't see you until like 4 or 5 weeks.
I'll see you in September.
Are you going away in September? Again?
August.
Oh, in August. How long are you going away for?
I don't know, I'll let you know.
No one burgled his ass. So yeah, I mean, these two guys are really interesting and brilliant. What was so fantastic is I met Simon and Ed a while ago, and since then we've been sort of skirting around doing stuff or touching on base on stuff, and that's been really interesting, right? I can talk about the cars thing. Ed,
Yeah, of course, yeah, be my guest.
Ed's going to talk about cars.
I'll
elaborate
It's his
later.
cars thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Ed does this fantastic thing, Cars and Coffee, which is soon to be Cars, Coffee and Harley Davidsons. If I get my way.
I don't know, two wheels? No.
Yeah, 2 wheels is fine.
Yeah, you do
Still
two
petrol.
wheels, yeah.
Still
Couple of
petrol.
Ducatis, something like that.
100%.
Actually, his bike's got a bigger engine than my car.
There you go.
Most
A lot
things
more
I've got a
horsepower.
big and then and Simon
What
is
into that?
Simon's got a really interesting story and how he got into real estate, right? So I'm saying that because it is.
You obviously found it interesting.
Well, I did, yeah. so I thought it'd be good, you know. That first of all, there are a couple of Essex boys running around, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, and they're in that sort of area. What sort of price range, guys, are you dealing with, do you think? Because you're at Fine & Country, right?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah. I mean, our kind of core price band is probably the 1 to 2 million space, but we transact at a bit lower, and quite a few are significantly beyond that. So,
Yeah.
the
And there's
core
a particularly
spaces are-
big one at the moment that you're maybe allowed to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, you want to elaborate on what it's saying. I suppose we start at about 800,000 and currently we go up to just under 30 million. So, yeah, there's a bit of a wider spread there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the concentration is in the 1 to 2. Probably, I would say, actually, if you look across the whole area, maybe it's a little bit higher than that now. It's probably
yeah, I'd say maybe
one and a half to 3 to be fair.
So here's an industry, everyone who watches this knows we're not massively industry specific with our podcast, but do you think that this mega thing that you're working, which is truly stunning, I'm sure that people will find out more about it, it's such an amazing property, it's such an amazing price point. Do you think that will drag you into a different world? Do you think make your everyday business?
Well, I mean, it already has,
Yeah.
because of the publicity that it generates.
So what happened? Tell me about it. As if I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so you're referring to an island in the estuaries of Essex.
So and this is good, right? Because when people usually talk about islands, like if they're a load of muppets on Instagram, not Instagram, so I didn't really say that, LinkedIn, right? And they say, oh, there's this island on that island. It's usually off of Dubai or it's somewhere in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. No one knows where it is, right? But this is an island that's in our shores in Great Britain.
It's in the Blackwood District.
It's a very unique opportunity, well, opportunity now past because we're in due diligence with a potential buyer, but it's to actually own a completely self-contained island where you can effectively, throw up the drawbridge and you are king of your own castle. You've got manor houses, you've got cottages, you've got barns, you've got apartments, you've
commercial
got space,
beaches, fields.
How'd you get to it?
everything.
It's quite an interesting one because when the tide is all the way out, a Roman causeway reveals itself, and you can drive on and off.
No way.
So it's like Mount.
That's cool.
Yeah,
St Michael.
yeah, a bit like that.
Yeah,
A bit like that.
Yeah.
A bit like that, but there's no way you want to break down on that causeway because when the tide comes in, you've got a good 20, 25 feet.
You drove a Ferrari on it? Or is
No, I haven't done that. No.
Yeah.
But,
And you must remember to get your car washed afterwards as well.
Yeah,
if you
indeed.
want.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
did you sell it to a James Bond villain?
I mean, we can't talk about who we've sold it to.
Is he a James Bond villain?
He's not a James Bond villain. That much we can definitely. But what the island started life as a military facility, and so the investment.
in its recent history,
Then it's the investment in like infrastructure, things like drainage and all the boring stuff. If you had it as a Virgin Islands today, you would spend millions and millions and millions of pounds creating the sort of the baseline for what you need to be able to create a village effectively.
Life to function.
To function, yeah. So it's an interesting one, and then of course, the good old question of how do you value something like that comes to mind. And
Is that your job?
yeah, but if you look at a classic estate on the mainland, you've got the manor house, you've got the dower house, you've got the farm cottages, you've got the tide cottages, you've got the land, stables, all that stuff. Normally, if you break it up into its component parts, its value is greater than if you assemble it into a whole. Yeah. But then if you pick that lot up and you stick it on its own island, where you say the minute you don't own one apartment or you don't own one little 1 acre field somewhere, no longer can you say this is your island.
Oh, I get you.
Does it work the same way or not? And it's an unanswerable question, really and truly. But if you want something which is completely self-sufficient, there's very few opportunities unless you want to go up to the sort of outer Hebrides of Scotland or something like that. That's within a 30-minute heliport ride from Battersea or an hour's train ride into London. Where can you come across that?
And that's how you see it. You envision the buyer sees it happening. He's going to be in his helicopter going over to Battersea helipod.
It's highly likely someone with the wealth to kind of buy such a place is probably going to have a helicopter.
They're not going to jet ski to Canary Wharf.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if it's this, and it's interesting to talk about. This is a private island that we're talking about, right, guys? So they've managed to get this private island and it's being sold, and they can tell us if they want to about what price it's sold at. But so this is a private island in its entirety, right? So it's the kind of thing that Danny Wallace, when he read King, right? You know what I mean? That everyone he would have loved.
He was in the Bow Arts building.
He said he ended up owning, and it was called Lovely, that country, right? But he did try and invade Eel Pie Island.
Did he?
And I think, can anyone invade this island? Like, could you go just because obviously I've just
been out. You don't want to be talking about this.
No. I've just been out to Monaco again, right, without Solly. And that's its own principality, right? Okay. Yeah. So that owns itself, and the thing is with that, he has to be. Well, I found that you have to be really nice to the subjects because you don't want people leaving. Yeah. So there's about 30,000 subjects, and it can't drop too low. Well, if it drops too low, he's in trouble. Like he can't be king, right? There's got to be people. So could it be the same? Could it be the same?
I don't think that's a particularly good parallel. But what we can say, there is military-grade pillboxes at either end of the island. Right. So if you want to reinstall your submachine guns and things,
you can buy around island. Surely you can buy a pocket battleship from. Is
it near that famous oyster place?
The one I go to the whole time.
Yeah, where'd you go to?
I go to West Mersey.
So if you kind of navigated out of the estrine, out of the Blackwater, and you're heading towards the North Sea, you'd see Mersey on the left, I guess. So, or poor.
Next time I go have some oysters in the company.
Yeah, but you can. I mean,
realise how poor I am.
Do you know what? No one else drives for half a day to go get oysters like this man. No one else has the time. And on the way there, he's listening to cricket. Like every other normal person does. Do you like cricket, either of you?
I like the social aspect of cricket because
the drinking.
So the answer is yeah,
absolutely.
Do you like cricket?
I know I'm not from Yorkshire.
Yeah. Touche.
Anyway, going back to the Essex thing and Essex and all that sort of stuff, and me loving oysters. I come from the home of oysters, which is Whitstable, born and raised, right?
I love Whitstable.
And yet I'm prepared to admit that the West Mersey oysters, the Malden oysters as well, Colchester, are all better than Kent oysters.
Well, it's because everything.
So I'm obviously maturing, and my sort of estuary rivalry is diminishing. So.
It was because you're always on the wrong side of the river, bruv.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on the right side of the river, it's
apparently
better.
I'm not if I'm driving 2 hours.
Well, yeah, but you have to come.
Right, let's not bicker. We got friends and.
Yeah, so let's start with Simon. The thing I'm really interested in, both of you, to know, how did you get into real estate? Because I know that you didn't start off in real estate, right?
No.
And you stumbled into it. So short version.
Sure.
How did it happen? So imagine if someone else is already 5 or 6 years in their career, or they're thinking about getting a career in real estate. How did you do it? And what was the thing that sort of said, do you know what? I'm going to go sell property because I'm mad.
I mean, I think a lot of people, like when they kind of leave school or university or whatever, it's full-time education, they think, all right, I'm going to go and get a career, and obviously I'm in my late 50s now, but
you're not.
People that were younger or older,
even more pissed off now.
Yeah.
So you're in your late 50s. Are you there yet?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Enough of that. But yeah, you always used to be, didn't it, a career for life type of thing. I'm going to go into banking or whatever, and you'll be a banker for the rest of your life, and you come out there with a gold watch or whatever when you're 65, because obviously the time age used to be 65, didn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. But I left my education and I went into banking initially, and then kind of realised in the city, I didn't particularly like banking, so got more focus in the tech side of things, and quite quickly moved more into sort of business advisory and consultancy type stuff and things like that, and ended up quite soon switching and working with a company called Arthur Andersen, which you may or may not have heard of, which is a big American conglomerate, which is the world's largest multidisciplinary professional services firm, if you want to.
See, Shay, you should stand there, you just put that up.
Did they buy, were they something to do with what are they called? Waterhouse? Price Waterhouse?
No, but it appeared to, but Price Waterhouse Coopers, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, KPMG, Arthur Andersen, they were a peer to that lot.
Andersen Consulting.
Andersen Consulting was the sort of the spin-off side of it, which was all consulting. Basically, you have the choice of, do you want to be a consultant and chase big fees, or do you want to be an auditor and chase little fees? And so the kind of business split in that area. And then there was the whole sort of Enron scandal, which ended Arthur Andersen, and Arthur Andersen sort of merged.
What was that scandal? So I remember it, but I'm not too sure I can.
Basically, they modernised the way that you do audits, and it became sort of that sort of expert system kind of led, if you like, and there was a lot of assumptions made, and some of those assumptions weren't correct, and as a result of it, things got overvalued or undervalued. I'm not an accountant, right? Don't ask me, but bottom line is it kicked up every hoo-ha, and it basically was the downfall of that business. But one thing I'll say hand on heart is that I credit my sort of business knowledge and the way I look at things in life through the absolute gift of an opportunity that I had for working for such a tremendous professional organisation as a young man. It really was my sort of foundation years.
And you can probably work out quite quickly what 2.5% of 3.25 million quid is. That's what I can do.
So I was in technology, and I then broke away again from that into a sort of more niche technology, and at the sort of age of 30, I found myself in a relatively fortunate position where I could reconsider my kind of career options, if you like, and so I moved over to America for a bit, lived in Sarasota in Florida.
Shout out to all the Floridians out there.
Yeah, and then realised that I wasn't old enough to live like that, and also that my material, my maternal situation with my wife and all that sort of thing wasn't really working out the way that I wanted it to be. So moved back to the UK and sort of thought, right, I'm in a position now, I'm young enough and fortunately not to be totally dependent on how much money that I got next month situation to do what I want to do and what I'd always wanted to do. And we were chatting about it before we started, but you never hear a kid at school say, I want to be an estate agent. Well, I was that kid, because actually I did.
Well, the 7-year-old you.
I did always want to do that. And life kind of got in the way, because I got into the banking and then into the tech and everything like that. And I can remember as a young sort of 20-year-old thinking, my objective on life is to earn £1,000 for every year of my age. If I can achieve that, that would be wonderful. You know what I mean? And then you get to sort of 25 and you're earning £150,000 a year, and you think, actually, do you know what? I'm going to set my goal a bit higher.
Yeah.
But what you learn in life is that, you know, money is a byproduct of doing what you enjoy doing really well. You mustn't be looking for it. It will come along automatically if you just like focus on doing what you do and do it really well. And the best type of thing to do really well, I personally believe, is something that you really enjoy doing. And for me, that was always property. My mum was a sort of part-time estate agent, and my dad was an engineer, so you know there was a sort of property-related connection there. And I always had a fascination. I mean, I remember walking home from school, and I'd literally sort of be valuing the houses that I'm walking past. You know, I was a bit of a nerd.
Never heard of this before.
No. So so I now had the opportunity to do what I really wanted to do. But what I wanted to do was create an estate agency that leveraged from my skill set, i.e. not doing it in the traditional way. So this is like Rightmove did exist at this time, but it was only like a little embryonic thing. And where I was living in Surrey, there was another guy that used to ride around all the estate agents on his bike that represented a sort of local property portal. And I thought, well, that's a good idea, but maybe not do it as a portal, but use the tech in a way that estate agents hadn't quite grasped at that time. And Find a Property, I think it was called.
Find a Property, back
in the Ducks, wasn't it?
Back in the day.
So he did well, right? Because you've all heard of it, and it grew out of like a little village thing to be something successful. But basically, I set up a business called Exclusively Surrey, and we basically started from scratch and challenged all the sort of mainstream normal estate agencies. And sort of 3 or 4 years later, we've got 6 or 7 offices, and we're turning over in Cobham in Surrey, over £1 million a year back then, which is 20 odd years ago now. So it was doing all right. But then, things change, and the market's mature, and the sort of the big London names, Savills, Knight Frank, people like that, John D. Wood, etc., started to come out of London and into the area. And when they were establishing themselves, they were sort of offering 0% and all of this sort of stuff. And my business was being funded by me, and there's only so far you can go. So I decided that I'd sell that and get more into sort of development and bits and pieces, which I did for a while. And then I got divorced for the second time.
You love a bit of divorce?
Yeah, I love a bit of divorce, and moved geographies over to Essex. And scratching my head for what am I going to do, and that's when I kind of met Ed really, and he was at the time
getting
nice
segue.
His head off the ground, and away we go.
You started. Sorry, I've been bitten to bits.
Oh, so you've been travelling?
I was in Monaco.
Were you in Monaco?
I was.
Where were you last week?
So shut up. So you started off as a young banker, and then you moved.
Glad you said that correctly.
Yeah, no, I made sure I said that. So funny enough, Solly started off as a young banker as well.
Did he?
And he hasn't grown out of it yet. I'm sorry, no, he did grow out of it.
Nothing changed.
So
I really missed these.
We've moved into a situation where real estate was a passion, and you come in, and that's how you bumped into Ed. Yeah. So Ed, do you want to pick up on that? How did you bump into this guy?
You were out this way anyway.
You St Albans, weren't you? Was you originally?
No, well, so my career's largely been based in Essex. I mean,
Did you start as an agent?
Yeah, I did. So
from school?
Well, so my father, he's retired now, but he was a solicitor, and I kind of got into agency by I think I was in the modern way of saying it is year 10. So about 14, 15, had a week's worth of work experience to come up, and I said to my dad, what should I do? So he said, well, leave it with me, I'll talk to a few people and make some suggestions. And one of them was a friend of his who they obviously had a business relationship through being an estate agent and a solicitor, was to work out an estate agent. So I duly sort of did that, not knowing really what it was or what have you. Did the week and had one of the best weeks of my life.
Really?
Yeah. I did the same thing actually.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and it helped that the chap I was working with, who sort of still is a good mate of mine now, Barry Pestel. He was my first boss, but I was working with him, and he just showed me what the estate agency sort of was in a very sort of flashlight quick way within the week, and kind of from there I had a sort of an idea of then perhaps what I might like to do, but carried on going through school, did sixth form, did my A-levels, got a place lined up at some good universities, which I kind of said yes to. But kind of remember doing my last A-level exam and doing some summer work, which was back in estate agency when I was sort of 18. And within perhaps 2 weeks of sort of doing the job, I was like, Mum, Dad, I'm not going to go to uni. I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing. So and kind of had a taste of the money, or could see that there was money involved and what have you. So I have been in agency pretty much sort of since I was 18.
Wow.
I'm 42 now.
That's pretty much a legend, right? If you can.
I think you started in your teenage years and still doing it. That's pretty.
So you remember doing the photocopier on a Thursday night to send out for the mail out on Friday?
That's right, Dan. I mean, I tell these kids who sort of we work with and sort of are asked to speak to and so on, and my jobs at the time were to take a picture with a proper camera that had film in it. I had to then walk it down to Boots. We had an account, a kind of photo developing shop, whatever that's called. And then the job was to collect the one that was already being developed. You'd get a big pack of 20, 30 of the same picture, which was the front shot, and then of course come back to the office and then glue them onto the details, put one of them in the window and then post the other,
put one of them in.
Do you remember the sun? Yeah. The sun would fade them. Your boss was on Monday going, why have we got a faded one?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And then,
Stanley, can you believe this even goes on? This is what was needed to do stuff.
Do you remember all that advertising? I remember I used to do the same thing, stick a load of stuff in my rucksack, get on my Honda 125, smash it over to Derry Street, just off High Street, Kensington, hand it into the Evening Standard. They would then go and take a photocopy of it or something, keep the picture, give it back to me, and I'd hoon it back to South East London. And then a week or two later, there'd be a little advert in there.
I mean, back then my fingers were sort of cut to shreds with paper, because the job, being the office junior, was to fold all the paper up and put it in the envelope and then, lick the stamp and,
God.
The production line.
I can actually sit there. I can remember folding up 10 at a time, all the same way over to separate, so you could put them in the envelope and get them.
These Instagram agents will not understand.
That's it. And I can still fold an A4 bit of paper.
I'm glad to say I can't remember doing any of that, but what I can remember being on the other end of it is on a Saturday morning, the satisfaction of hearing the thud through the letterbox in the days when a postman used to actually deliver letters at 9 o'clock in the morning rather than 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And there'd be an envelope with a wad of this week's details from the agents.
And that would excite you.
Yeah, because you could then go out and plan your book.
So how did you get together? How did you? Because you're a bit like me and Solly, right? We're not too much like us, because clearly there's a pecking order here, and I understand that I'm a lot lower. So you guys, how did you crash into show? Because you have a bit of banter. You said yourself, when you go out on valuations, you work out who's getting on, maybe you're both getting on with a client, maybe one of you's better on the other side, and that is a really important thing to do, I think. I think a lot of guys and girls, when they're getting into this industry, have been into it just a couple of years. I think it's always good to find someone else to be in it, especially if you're self-employed, to keep you up. Because things do get hard, right? You can go through and have really hard times. And when you have the good times, it's really nice to understand that someone else has got 10 grand the same as you, but you both can understand where that money's actually come from and where it's going. So was you in a pub one day? Was you waiting outside in bated breath for him to come running out with the local property rag?
I think sometimes they say the best things in life are sort of unexpected, and it kind of was. But the kind of mysterious part was we had crossed paths a couple of times prior to kind of the conversation that sparked our business relationship where we are now. I mean, Simon's current wife, she
hates it if I call her
current wife.
My wife.
Do you want to edit it out? Sam, just put in big letters. Simon's current wife.
Whichever number he wants, just bring it up on the screen.
Dot.
I only ever refer to that when I want to keep her on her toes.
But no, Laura was a lovely lady. She had a house in Bishop Stortford. We had a branch of an agency that I'm set up. Charles David Casson, so it must have been sort of the early 2010s. She sold her cottage with us, and at the time I think you were sort of it was in the early days of getting together. And
so I remember, like, you know, she was like being told what to do. I said, don't buy that. And so I take the phone and I was like, talking to the estate agent. I don't know if I was talking to Ed or one of his colleagues. No. She needs to get a bit more, and sort of using my estate agency end to badger the estate agencies. So yeah, we didn't realise that, did we? At that point in time. That was the first thing.
That was the first thing we realised, and then we put crossbars again with some advice on another house that you and Laura had owned.
It was like the first little cottage that we bought together. When we were selling that, Ed came along to pitch to sell it, and I went with a different agent. So
they went cheap fees.
Cheap fees.
Cheap fees.
No.
I think what it was on the market, and you were thinking about changing
exactly that. I was thinking of switching, and I had Ed over to, as a potential candidate to switch to, and usual thing, 11th hour the agent sold it. So problem parts itself. But I do tease him that he didn't win my business.
I didn't want the business anyway.
Because their clients might know that.
But that's an early collaboration. You see, you touched on it earlier about again having someone to be there for the ups and the downs and all that sort of stuff, celebrate and commiserate. And actually, I'm not a very spiritual person, but there is something spiritual about that, because I know in all the hundreds of deals we've done together, sometimes you've never even visited the property and vice versa. There's always something that happens in the ether. It could be, just a really cool text message or sending something silly through Instagram that might just make your endorphins go in a different direction and make something happen. And that's probably what happened. That's it. The last time I'm going to be sort of remotely about it.
No, so I've had Justin expanding away earlier on.
I did just spliff I just had.
Yeah, well, can you stop doing that, because the kids.
But so
that was a couple of years
before, and then I had an opportunity at the sort of outset of COVID. Been speaking to Fine and Country, their head office, to looking at opportunities, and funny enough, one of the businesses I worked for like 25 years prior to were one of the first offices to actually have a Fine and Country office, and I went to the UK launch of Fine and Country. So it's a kind of brand that I'd always stayed close to or had an eye on, and sort of saw the growth and everything else. And,
and great brand.
The brand it's a strong brand for sure, and it gets us through some sort of lovely front doors. But took on the license for what was called Mid Essex at the time, which was effectively sort of Chelmsford and surrounding. And then literally a few months in, I had an email from the head office saying, there's a chap who's sort of potentially looking at coming on board to do some sort of consultancy or associate work or whatever, and I was like, not sure really if I kind of want to look at bringing anyone else in or whatever at the time, but I thought, look, what's the harm in
having a conversation,
had a coffee, and first time I sort of formally met someone in a business sense, as it were, and I saw half the face because we were both wearing stupid masks at the time.
So this was just
it was in the depth of COVID.
We went for a walk, didn't we?
You bought a couple of Cafe Nero teas or whatever, coffees, and we went for a walk round. I think it was Central Park in Chelmsford.
It was
chatting, and you know chatting.
Start crying.
Conversation. It just developed. So, and then so we kind of went into business together in a sort of certain way to begin with, and like things in life, things develop and you find a better way of working and a better way still. And here we are, 5 years on, where we're equal partners. We are very different yet very similar, and the chemistry between how we are as human beings seems to work.
I think the key is fundamentally we trust and we respect each other. We are different to each other, and I think that's good, because it's like, you often use the analogy of a football team. You don't want everyone to be a striker, do you? We're different, and when we now obviously that the business has grown beyond the two of us, and we've got whether it's 10 people or whatever it is within it, we try and find people that complement it. I mean, I think one of my sort of going back to Arthur Anderson's skills was that I think one of the big challenges of most businesses is that people are promoted to a level of incompetence, and managers in most organisations or businesses are scared to employ someone who's better than them for fear of that person taking their job. Whereas when you own your business like we do, I think if I can employ someone who's better than me, happy days. You know what I mean? Because you know, unless they'll be better than me in every area, and clearly they won't be. But you know, if we can get people that are better,
the captain isn't always the best player in the team.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, every man is your superior, though, isn't it? You know, there's always whoever you meet in the world, they're going to be better.
We've all so true. I mean, we came together in a very similar way. We started out as 4, and we just got closer, and it filtered out and into 2. Similar situation, and. But yeah, we're the same. As soon as we got into doing a bigger business together, bringing in a big we're like, we've got to get people better than us, you know, or younger than us, or certainly, you know, it wasn't about
you have to keep
king of the castle.
And
I think leadership. We'll talk about leadership, I guess, if you want, because that's what you guys are. You're industry leaders. It is about, you know, taking all the stuff that got you there, which is probably being a little bit ballsy, probably thinking that Savills are this and whoever are that, and that I'm better or whatever. That gets you to a certain space. But you've got to know when.
Yeah. I mean, in my life, like in the business, two words to me sum up the things that most people don't bother to do in business. One is why. Ask people why. Why do you do that? And they say, because we do. Well, why do you? And then they dig another layer down. Every time you ask the question, you get closer to what the real issue is. And the other powerful word that people don't use enough is no. Yeah. Well, absolutely no. Yeah. No, I won't sell you.
I think
I won't do this.
Yeah.
We're touching on something here, and in and around leadership, and I think this is going to head, if you guys are cool with it, to a part 2 at some point. Because there's a lot to be said about that. Because we've done quite a few sort of academies and things in the past. Not necessarily very professional. Sorry about the sun hitting.
That's all right.
No, I was enjoying that. I have got some suntan cream because I've just been to Monaco, and I've got some left.
So we'll do a part 2 where we'll talk about leadership, but not with him in it. No. We won't talk about travel, but because I think I'm touching on something really important there, and I think all of the 4 of us, I know we're all blokes and we're all of a certain age, and that's probably quite boring.
Easy tiger.
But there's a lot for people to hear. You know, experiences are. I think experience is my strongest currency right now. There's a lot of things I'm not so good at anymore, and we're all probably in a similar situation.
Absolutely.
But I do think we also.
Stan is giving us the hurry up. That's why I'm heading towards a part 2.
But we are also at the point where, I mean, we call it the power of fuck off. There is a point where we just go, I don't want to do that with you guys. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, it's not for me. You know, so we can turn away business now.
But I don't think it's just about the business that you turn. I think you've got to use the no across every aspect of what you do in your business. If you just don't think something's right, it's no. And you must remember, and we're constantly reminding ourselves of it, that the reason we're in business and the reason we do it is for us. It's our business.
Sure.
You know, and that might sound a terribly selfish statement, but that's key. You know?
I think that's really important.
But if we, you know,
you just taught me something.
If we can, you know, like Richard Branson, say that, you know, our people are our best asset. I genuinely think our people are our best asset, because I think our business is built on a 2 + 2 = 6 type mentality, where, you know, if tomorrow we got rid of all of our team and Ed and I did all of our work, we'd make an awful lot more money than what we currently do. But we wouldn't be able to grow and nurture and develop.
That's for the here and now.
Business,
and growth in the business.
And getting the right people and making those people feel empowered and loved. And being a manager or a leader is about respect. It's not because it says it on your business card or whatever. It's people need to look at you and think, yeah, I'm bloody glad he's here because he puts his arm around me metaphorically or whatever, and he does this and he does that. You know, that, and they respect the skills that the 2 of us bring. And we're different, and our team come to us for different things. They go to Ed for some things and me for others, because they know
the soft touch.
They know of our skills. Well, he is clearly, isn't he? Of course he is.
I mean, maybe I had a reputation once upon a time for being Mr. Nice Guy, but in fairness, perhaps rubbing shoulders with Simon, I've changed my ways a bit. But you know,
probably there's a lot we can say about
I have
too.
For sure. You know, and we've adapted our ways. But look, we will go into a pitch, and we're quite clear with people that we will say to them, look, this isn't about you choosing us alone. We'll think about if we're going to choose to work with you as well. the minute you say that, of course, they really want to work with you, and then you say what your fees
are. I think actually I feel a little bit schooled sitting here. Because it's really interesting the way that it's like watching how you've built it, similar to what we've done in a different area to what we've been building out. But there is guys and there's a lot of girls as well, out there. Come in and say hi. It's a case of that are similar to us. We're all similar, but we're so far apart. And that brings me in, Ed, to something that you do, and just quickly on the side part of it, which I think is, and you think, he must think as well. It's clearly brilliant.
Yeah.
With this cars, coffees, and soon to be Harley Davidson.
That's right. Yes, indeed.
And what is that? Just tell people in a minute what that is.
So the platform's called Fully Fueled, and it's sort of become a big part of me in a way. I've always been a big networker, to believe. Obviously, we work in a people-related business, so the currency is people, and I kind of just the weird way, I have these sort of shower moments in the morning where I have all my ideas, and I just thought one morning, I'm like, we need to contact and connect with more of the right people as such that will kind of use our services and work with us. And myself and my son Jacob, we're into cars. We've got a sort of Sunday car. We used to go to a lot of coffee and car sort of events. But what was apparent to me was that the clientele that used to come along were all kind of the same sort of people, business-minded people that were transacting in whatever they're transacting, homeowners, quite often very nice, prestigious homes and so on. And it was a direct route to communicating with these people. And I thought, well, that's all well and good, but why don't we then take it a step further and develop a platform where it's geared up for proper business networking? So it does two things. You come along, you bring your car. You don't have to have a car to come along, of course, but typically on a Sunday morning, it's held at a nice venue, and we've sort of been at all sorts of wonderful places during its sort of development, and like country homes and high-end car dealerships and so on. And it attracts a really good clientele. I mean, some of it's always a ticketed event, so therefore we get the data of who's coming along and so on. And we've also got an Instagram account that you can follow.
Instagram
of course you can. Yeah, fully.fueled. And it just gets a lot of good people, the right type of people, the supercar owners and classic car owners that are kind of passionate about cars, but equally kind of want to get on in life and actually
they've got a few quid.
Yeah, got a few quid, but equally they're good people, they're good for us and we're good for them, so it kind of creates a new bond.
I think
it's a different way of connecting to
I think that, and the way thinking out of the box and different from being creative in this industry is something we always have to do, because I always say you need two things in property. You need a front door and someone that wants to walk through it. The rest is all background noise, but you do need the background noise now. You need the bits going on. And on that, let me make sure I'm looking at you. So, and on that, I want to say thank you, Simon and Ed, for turning up. As Solly said,
thank you for having us.
Because he loves having the last word. As Solly said, I've got the back of your neck there. Can you see that? We will probably have a part two because it has been so good. So I haven't done this for a while. I'm trying to remember it, so I'm going to remember it. I'm not even going to look at Stanley because he didn't put a bit of paper up and he knows to put it up.
Embarrassed.
So what's that? No, Spotify, YouTube, WhatsApp, Amazon, Apple. Don't forget Apple, right? Come along, listen to us again. Thank you for listening.
But do YouTube, because then you'll see us all.
We can't sit here no more. I've got to have my own chair because he keeps crushing into it. Thank you so much. Loved hearing from you. And we'll speak to you again soon. Bye.
See ya. Bye.